Some time ago, Leapwing Audio came out with 3 incredibly innovative and great sounding processors: StageOne, CenterOne, and DyneOne, 2 stereo tool manipulators, and a multi-band dynamic processor. I got the chance to play with them a little bit. Today we take a look at them on different sources. Let's get to it. These 3 plugins from Leapwing Audio are incredible tools for mixing and mastering. I've never heard any other stereo widener or stereo manipulation tool being so transparent and phase issues free as StageOne and CenterOne. Let's start with the one I had more fun to use, which is StageOne, one of the 2 stereo tool manipulators. We have 3 modules in this one: width, depth, and monospread. Width is, of course, the stereo widener. Depth adds some sort of reflection to the sound to give it a 3D feeling, position it front to back. And it also had a slider, a color slider to decide what frequencies you wanna add this effect to. Monospread turns the mono signal, the center signal, into a pseudo stereo, but the unique thing about this one is it does it in a 100% mono-compatible way, which is pretty unique. I'm gonna start with this one on piano. We have a simple piano line. And this alone is pretty impressive, how natural the stereo image opens up. But if we add the monospread, it sounds so much bigger. Of course, I'm exaggerating with the settings already to make it obvious, because these processors are so transparent that sometimes you really don't feel them working, don't feel the processing. It sounds like the piano was always that wide, but it wasn't. You only realize it when you bypass it. You hear how it positioned the piano further back. This is an extremely useful tool when mixing and you don't want everything to sound up front. That is pretty impressive. I've never heard any other stereo tool working this way. It sounds so natural. Let me try on a lead dry vocal.
Do unembraceable and it lasts. Look it dead in the eyes, the peel off the sky. All is erasable and there's nothing left here for you and I.
Again, very impressive, so natural. It almost sounds like it was in a room when it was recorded. We hear kind of the room sound. That's all the depth.
Do unembraceable and it lasts. Look it dead in the eyes, the peel off the sky. All is erasable and there's nothing left here for you and I. Why do we even try that?
And you notice that on a mono source, unless you use the monospread slider, the width will not work. Of course, these 2 work in combination together on mono sources, but also on stereo sources. So this is without the depth.
Do unembraceable and it lasts. Look it dead in the eyes, the peel off the sky. All is erased.
That is pretty impressive. Let me add the depth to it.
Do unembraceable and it lasts. Look it dead in the eyes, the peel off the sky. All is erased.
Of course, if you want a completely dry vocal, that's not the tool, but what it does is pretty unique. If we add a little bit of reverb to it.
Do unembraceable and it lasts. Look it dead in the eyes, the peel off the sky. All is erasable and there's nothing left here for you and I. Why do we even try? There's nothing left.
Pretty impressive. But let's try it on a full mix, which is mostly mono. Again, you hear it when you bypass it, because when you turn up the sliders, they open up. Because when you turn up the sliders, the effect is so natural that you don't realize it until you bypass it. I have a couple of loops I want to try this one on. Now that is pretty impressive. It sounds so wide. And let me compare this one with a regular stereo spreader like the old S1, which I still like. It still has uses in mixing, but just to show you the difference in how you can hear the processing when you applied an old school stereo widener based on phase and timing. You hear how with stage one, the center image, the phantom image is still there, present, untouched, and just the sides just open up. With S1, which again has its uses, you hear the phase shift and is a processed kind of sound, while with stage one is so damn natural. Last test for this stage one before going to center one. I have a bunch of loops put together here, so I'm gonna put this one on this loop. In context with another kick and a hi-hats. That is definitely impressive. Such extreme settings. If you solo the track, so you probably hear some artifacts, but since this is a loop in a context, we can get away, and the effect we get is very unique. Again, it's called stage one, so it really gives you the feeling that the track, the material is being played on a stage. Let me play it again with and without. Again, really, really cool. Let me solo this loop, and instead of stage one, let's start playing with CenterOne, which is the other stereo tool manipulator. CenterOne, this is a very refined stereo tool. Its first application for me is definitely mastering, just because how transparent it is in its action, and the center bandpass EQ, we will see in a minute. The filters are, of course, linear phase. You can use it for effects, and it's pretty cool. But again, its first application for me is mastering to fix some problems in the stereo field, just because how transparent it is. Let's try it on the same loop we were trying stage one. Again, so very transparent and very different from stage one. So we have few controls in here. Center prominence, which is pretty unique. What it does is basically adjust the center signal, the mono signal, without changing the panorama. A pretty unique algorithm. Let me try just that on this track. You can hear, especially when we boost the center prominence, everything that is in the center is like more powerful, more dense, but at the same time, the stereo image is pretty much the same. So the panorama really doesn't change. Then we have a level trim for level matching, of course, mute and unmute for the 3 sliders LCR. And then we have the bandpass EQ. Basically, this is a filter with linear phase filters, of course. Everything that is left out, these 2 corner frequencies, is what remains in the L and R channels when you move the sliders. So this is interesting because it can really be used as a form of EQ, super transparent EQ I would add, because again, it's all linear phase. So if I boost L and R sliders, and let's say I leave out everything below 250-ish, you will hear a boost increase. Okay, this might sound and look counterintuitive, but this is exactly how it works. So everything that is 250 and below remains in the left and right channels. If I boost those frequencies will get a boost. So we have more low end and it's still stereo. Again, the incredible thing about Leapwing processor is the mono compatibility. You can hear everything there and solid. You hear no phase shift in the mid channel. You know how many videos I made to aware people of the fact that when you use a low pass filter or a high pass filter, there's non-linear, there's a phase shift cancellation. You have to avoid that when you parallel things. So this is really the perfect processor for things like this. Everything is linear phase and it's so damn transparent. So we can do, of course, the opposite and turn down the sides. And again, everything that is left out, the corner frequency here in the center bypass remains on the side channel. So if I turn them down, you hear the track is losing low end this time. And then, of course, we have the center width channel with, again, is a proprietary algorithm that spread out the center channel. Again, the things that you can do this, especially if you have a problematic mix to master, which has some sort of problem in the stereo field, this is definitely the tool you want to use. I'm going to try this one on a track die mix. Again, pretty impressive how all the effects, they are somewhat more 3D, spread out wider, and still the center image is still there, present and strong. But let's try the last one, the dynamic processor from Leapwing Audio, which is called DyneOne. Now, this is a deep processor. Even though you have few sliders here, just an input and an output and 5 bands, this is in fact a linear phase multi-band compressor, 5 bands, which can be used in parallel or just as a regular compressor for downward compression and upward compression. I said it has a learning curve because of the unique algorithm it has. It doesn't really react like any other regular multi-band compressor or compressor that you're used to. Here in the console, you can open up the expert panel and you can decide if you use it in parallel compression, non-parallel compression, channel link, multi-mono to stereo. Detection goes from full RMS, so average to peak, and weighting, single band to all bands. So with the weighting slider, basically you decide how much one band affects the other. So let's try starting at 50% default on this mix. And I tried it already. I know there's a little bit of auto boost when you do it, so I'm gonna try to compensate the volume. And let's try on this mix default settings. Okay, default settings, this is a mix, a full mix, a finished mix. It's not mastered, but it's pretty hot. So the one thing that I've noticed is compressing a little too much. So we go into one of the single band controls and we lower the threshold. Actually, we turn it up a little bit. And as long as you have the bands linked, when you move the slider, one slider, any slider on one band, it will move it on all the others. So we see the first band working is this one set at 160 and down. My rock mixes are kind of known for being like bottom heavy with big kicks and snare. So that's normal for me. So that actually tells me I did a good job. Okay, so it touches the low end a little bit. Now what I want to do is, again, I'm going to unlink these and I'm going to try to control the hi-hats a little bit. That's quite some more punch with this one. Pretty impressive. Again, this is a finished mix, doesn't really need processing, but just to show what this can do. Let's try it, for example, on a single instrument, like bass, for example. I'm gonna go halfway to peak, between peak and RMS, and move the attack a little faster. Let's stay around 10. And we have ranges. Way more controlled and dense, this bass. I noticed one thing in this DyneOne which I like. The filters are absolutely transparent. This is a multi-band compressor. We have 5 bands, we have 5 crossovers. These are absolutely linear phase. There's no artifact whatsoever. And until you pull the threshold down or up, because you can do upward compression as well, is absolutely transparent. But one thing that is really unique about this processor and why the action is so different from anything else pretty much, is that instead of squashing the material, squashing the dynamic, it brings up, when it auto gain, it brings up the low level details. Now this is very useful with minimal arrangement, with effects, and especially with loops. I'm gonna try this one on a hip-hop trap loops. This is one of the things I like DyneOne the most. You hear all the details and the shakers, how they pop up. Now these were the default settings. Let me unlink things and release some of the low end. You heard the difference. Again, so much you can do with this one. It's a very deep plugin, so spend some time with it. It has a learning curve. It's not for everything, and it's not a set and forget. Although its transparency makes it useful for a lot of material, just spend some time with it. These were the 3 great sounding and very innovative processors from Leapwing Audio. I hope this video was useful. I hope you liked it. If you did, leave a like. Comment down below. If you have any question, follow MixBuzz TV on Facebook and Instagram. Thank you for watching. See you next time.